Okay, thinking about tarot reading, thinking about tarot spreads, one thing I want to point out to you is that there's lots of dogmatic thinking about what a particular spread should be, what the particular positions within the spread should be, what the interpretation of the cards themselves should be in the various different positions around the spread. That creates complexity, and it stops any form of creative problem solving and creative thought processes associated with creating a good reading which can actually be of benefit to your customer. So no matter what, if you're doing a spread, you've got some cards which were on the pile, and then hey presto, they're going to end up face up. Okay, they can be face up reverse, they can be face up upright, but they're still face up. So your standard most basic reading is just one card. Just one. And often some of my more profound professional readings have been done with just one card as well. However, the more complexity, the more color, the more shape, the more structure, the more form you put in, and the order that the symbols come out in as a result of this seemingly random sortilege method of delivery, adds an extra complexity to the meaning itself. Laying out 3 cards like this, write in the comment section what you think each particular position either is or could be used for. Alright, past, present, future. Okay. Deep subconscious mind, your conscious awareness, conscious thought. Okay? Lower self, conscious self, higher self, whatever. See? Or maybe it's all 3 of those things simultaneously. And you think about the situation that the client's telling you about. You think about the situation that the client is dealing with. You then work out creatively what these various different positions could actually be for them, because everything you're doing is you're doing it for them. You're thinking about things for somebody else. You're not thinking about it from your point of view. It's not a question of making somebody think what you want them to think. Instead, it's a question of making somebody think. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm talking about here? And we use, of course, the analogies of the various different symbols, the cards, both book meanings of the cards and intuitive meanings of the cards we've built up after years of contemplation, thought, discussion, meditation about what either the cards or symbolism in the cards are really about. Obviously, there is some traditional symbolism which occurs more or less throughout tarot. Obviously there are plenty of exceptions, because this is artwork, and artwork has exceptions in it. That's what artwork does really well. Can be frustrating at times, can be good, can be challenging, can make you see things differently, but that's just the way it is. Now, I've mentioned before the Celtic Cross spread, okay, which has various different positions, which is interpreted again in different ways. You got your inner self, outer self, conscious awareness, subconscious awareness, reflection upon the past, anticipation of the future, and then you've got the staff cards on the right hand side, short-term, medium-term and long-term future, with an extra one thrown in basically for good measure, which is the unexpected signs. But that is only one interpretation. I have seen in various different books lots of people being very passionate about the Celtic Cross spread and saying it means a particular thing. I have not noticed that, because what we have to do, right, is to put these things to the test. Everything in forms of spiritualism, occultism, meditation, even mindfulness has to be put to the test. I mean, I can speak to like 3 different people who understand mindfulness, and they all understand it in very different ways. I can speak to 3 different people who understand the Celtic Cross spread, and I would again see it in different ways. So is your understanding of the Celtic Cross spread the be-all and end-all of what the spread is about? No. It's a good starting point, it's a good structure, it's a good approach, but it's not necessarily the be-all and end-all of it. Now, let's say, I'll just give you an example straight out. There was one call I had many years ago when I was working on the psychic clients, because that's what I do. And this client was on the phone with me for 5 hours. Okay? It was the most tiring day of work, just like out and out, draining, intense, and I had to be there for them and be present for them for the entire 5 hours. What happened on that call was I started out with a Celtic Cross spread. We went into the detail of it. That took between 20 minutes and 40 minutes, really. And then after that, there was further conversations. As there was further conversations, and I needed to keep everything focused on the core things I'd already discussed, I left this spread out. And then I took up more table space. All right? And we created extra little readings. But they weren't separate to the original Celtic Cross. It was related to different questions, different subjects, different approaches, different thoughts and feelings, but it was still part of the same reading. Okay, so automatically what I'd done is I'd added an extra 3 cards to the Celtic Cross spread. The client actually responded that I was being very accurate, very useful, very helpful, and all the rest of that to the work that I was doing. But I had not followed specifically rigid traditions. And I pretty much take that attitude towards everything which I see in all this like world of the weird stuff. People go on and on and on and on and on dogmatically about the tradition, about this is ancient, this is that, that's ancient, daddly daddly dear. It's been around for ages, therefore it must be true, and all this kind of rubbish. Because if there is anything true to any form of psychic power, okay, if there's anything true to it at all, it is a natural thing. Okay, it occurs in nature. And therefore, why would it need to be constrained as much through tradition? Surely we should be looking at the state of mind that we're in, how open we are, how receptive we are, whether we've been doing our meditations enough or properly, whether we've been experimenting, exploring the sensitivity, and trying to work out what in particular we are actually being sensitive to, rather than jumping to conclusions. Because we could have read lots of lovely books which said that a particular colour, a particular day of the week, a particular this, that and the other is the ultimate thing, and therefore we've got to stick to it, planetary hours and so on and so forth, or phases of the moon or seasons of the year. But if you believe in that too much, okay, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect you if you believe in that too much. But if you could then try and look more objectively at what's going on, what are the thoughts, what are the feelings, what are the ideas in this, you could probably intellectually explore the subjects even better. Where does the intuition come from? Is it inside yourself? Is it outside of yourself? If it is outside of yourself, where's it coming from? Is it something which is written into the way the universe is built? Is it something which is the products of the mind? Is it the products of the brain? Because the two are two different things. Is it from a conscious entity outside of yourself? Is it some variety of telepathic contact with a member of your family who knew the answer anyway? The questions and the questions and the questions carry on forever. But the fact of the matter is, we shouldn't be about that. We shouldn't be just about getting so caught up in these things. All right, it's a question of getting down to the essence. What is underneath it? What is underneath the experience? What is the actual truth and reality, but beneath the distraction of traditions, between the distraction of tarot, beneath the distraction of tarot traditions or occult traditions or spiritual traditions or faith-based traditions or this, that and the other is traditional, therefore we must do it. Why? It's the practicality, it's the actual thing. The tarot readings themselves can be incredibly useful for people, intellectually, creatively, not only just for things such as emotional support, but also to oil the wheels of your mind when you're dealing with a complicated problem. And life has complicated problems in it, some of them very complicated. And we often find confused between what is ethically right, what is not ethically right, and how are we going to deal emotionally with this particular situation which is particularly hard. Okay? And I think that the more we burrow down into finding the truth as opposed to following traditions and promoting traditions or traditional understandings, the better we can get at all of this stuff. And the more we could take something which is fringe in society because yeah, tarot is much more mainstream than it's ever been before. That's good, especially good for people like me who are in the trade of being professional tarot readers. But on the other hand, that doesn't really stop there from being either mistruths or otherwise unuseful things occurring in our culture. Okay, so when it comes to issues of the mind, how are you going to go through the process of opening up the mind? Is it going to be chakra visualizations? Is it going to be deep meditation? Is it going to be mindfulness? What are we going to do for that? Are we going to explore the manipulation and the movements of spiritual healing energy, or are we going to try and focus more on the type of techniques which is required for those involved in mediumship, or the type of skills involved for those in dowsing? I've watched videos about people involved in health and fitness before. Not because I am a massive health and fitness person, but I do work out, I do Pilates, that sort of thing. But for each different type of sport that particular person will be interested in, they would have to choose a different exercise routine to train them up in a particular way so they can become athletic in the right way, whether it's the strongman exercises or the flexibility exercises and so on and so forth. Maybe the same thing is true with all this weird stuff. You have to try and work out what particular exercises and ways of thinking is appropriate for what it is you're trying to do, and then to experiment on those lines and work out how the result of your experiment is connected to reality, and drawing the relevant and appropriate conclusions about what's going on there. Okay? And I'll see you all next time.